Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. The title of our presentation is The Authority Principle, Phishing Attacks, and Business Email Compromise. I'm your team member, Tom Hughes. Let's begin by looking at the motivation behind our proposed experiment. It's the pervasive nature and costly impact of phishing attacks and business email compromise on organizations and the role that human vulnerabilities play in the equation. Our study is driven by the considerable financial and operational impact that phishing attacks and business email compromise inflict on organizations. As reported by the FBI in their Internet Crime Report, April 23 of 2025, victims have experienced losses exceeding $50 billion due to fraud over the past 5 years. Social engineering really is the foundational element of these attacks. It involves influencing human emotions such as fear, annoyance, excitement, or urgency to persuade a victim to take an action that benefits the attacker. The human factor is often overlooked in cybersecurity, even though statistically, roughly 72% of all breaches involve human error and the lowered perception of risk that perpetuates the problem. Our research purpose and research gap. Our research specifically focuses on measuring the influence of the sender through the context of social engineering by utilizing the authority principle. While the general threat of social engineering is recognized, that there is a gap in understanding how to precisely quantify the impact of the authority principle on how staff respond to phishing emails. This means we lack exact measurements of how a sender's perceived authority influences a recipient's susceptibility to a scam. Our study is going to address this by measuring the degree that a sender's perceived influence affects a staff member's actions, and we'll do that by using simulated phishing attacks. The authority principle, as conceptualized by Robert Cialdini in his 6 Principles of Influence, no date, suggests that individuals are inclined to comply with guidance and directives of recognized experts. According to the Arizona State University Gentle Science of Persuasion series, January of 2007, that desire to comply stems from a general trust in experts or those in authority, making people more likely to accept and act upon their advice, even when it involves requests they may ordinarily question. Dr. Cialdini's work indicates that this principle operates with what we would consider to be surprising, almost forceful influence on decisions in diverse contexts where expert opinions shape outcomes. Our inherent tendency to yield to authority is a deeply ingrained mental shortcut. As detailed in Cialdini's The Psychology of Persuasion, 2021, criminals exploit this by feigning legitimacy, often adopting authoritative titles and using symbols of power. This brings us to our specific research questions and research objectives. Our central research question: how does perceived authority affect the response of staff being asked to respond to urgent and unusual requests by authority figures in phishing emails? The research objective is to compare the rates of responses of staff receiving phishing emails from unknown senders versus those from authority figures. Those would be people like the CEO, the IT director, or an HR manager. The emails will include requests requiring immediate action and include a degree of urgency. Now let's look at the experiment methodology, or how we plan to conduct this study. Our methodology involves designing a controlled behavioral study utilizing simulated phishing emails. This approach enables us to directly measure the key outcome: the click-through rates and phish reporting of email recipients. For selecting participants, staff members from an organization will be randomly chosen and organized into distinct experimental groups. This randomization is important in making sure there's a sufficient level of objectivity in our findings. We also recognize the need for a sufficiently large sample size to ensure the statistical validity of our results. We will implement 2 main experimental conditions. Scenario 1 will serve as our control group. They'll receive simulated phishing emails from a generic, unidentified sender. These emails will be crafted to contain unusual requests, demand prompt action, and convey a sense of immediacy. Scenario 2, which is our experimental group. They'll be sent simulated phishing emails that impersonate an authority figure within their organization, such as a CEO, head of IT, or head of HR. These emails will also include unusual requests, require immediate action, and emphasize urgency. Our primary measurement will be the click-through rates and phish reporting. For practical implementation, we would anticipate using technological tools like a simulated phish test toolkit that's provided by a reliable source. In Christopher Hadagny's book, Social Engineering, the Art of Human Hacking, 2011, the author talks about phishing toolkits that are widely used as a resource for generating and deploying simulated phishing emails. Toolkits have evolved significantly. In fact, there's an entire market around providing that kind of service to organizations. They now include a robust set of tools for implementing security awareness campaigns and phish testing, along with baking into their platform artificial intelligence-driven knowledge about the recipient's habits and prior email communication to facilitate creating very convincing professional email with embedded malicious components and provide actionable intelligence for validating and testing and research purposes without posing any risk to the organization. That brings us to potential outcomes. Our research is focused on a specific aspect of cybersecurity, but it also helps with a much broader, more critical objective, and that is transforming threats into opportunities. This research experiment will help create a shift in how cybersecurity is approached by the organization, moving past the traditional view of humans as merely a problem or weak link, and instead recognizing their role as being integral to security solutions, as detailed in the article Transforming Threats into Opportunities by Colabianchi et al. 2025. By gaining deeper understanding of human behavior, we can implement a human-centric cybersecurity strategy. This requires actionable intelligence, identifying and prioritizing actions, designing effective security awareness campaigns, which includes phishing, simulations, gamification, role-specific training, and encourages incident reporting. A crucial element of this approach is cultivating an environment where reporting security incidents is encouraged and handled with discretion. No shaming or blaming. This encourages proactive participation and personal accountability among all staff. And ultimately, the goal is to create a cyber resilience strategy that integrates the human dimension, because staff really are the key. In Hadagny's book, Social Engineering, the Art of Human Hacking, 2011, it describes the attacker's most potent weapon. It's likely not going to be a complex technical exploit, but rather their capacity to influence human psychology using deceptive identities, seemingly innocent interactions, and convincing narratives. According to Advanced Social Engineering Attacks, Krumholtz et al. 2015, social engineering methods can prove more successful than purely technical cyber attacks. Thank you, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.